We wonder if we will feel seen or even welcomed. And my audience has made this clear through blog comments, messages, and emails, especially about places in New England. I kept hearing the same questions. Can I go there? Will I feel comfortable? Will I be welcomed? Because the desire to explore is there, but so is the hesitation.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Unlock Black Journeys, the podcast, where we archive the Black experience across all 50 states. I'm your host, Dr. Franny. On this podcast, we explore Black travel, celebrate Black businesses, unpack the Black experience, and highlight our Black communities. Season 1 is Black in Motion, how we experience place. Welcome to today's episode. I want to start with a question. What if we travel by what we were never taught? What if the places we visit hold stories we have never been invited to hear? And what if traveling differently could actually change how we understand ourselves? Hi, I am Dr. Franny, and this is Unlock Black Journeys. And this podcast, it has been a long time coming. For most of my life, I've been an educator, a teacher, an assistant principal, a nonprofit executive, someone deeply committed to equity, access, and making sure people, especially those from underrepresented communities, have the opportunities and support they deserve. But somewhere along the way, travel became another classroom for me. Not the kind with 4 walls, but the kind that challenges what you think you know, the kind that makes you ask better questions, the kind that reveals just how much has been left out of the stories we have been told. For me, travel did not begin with plane tickets or faraway places. It started at home. It looked like bus rides through local neighborhoods and subway rides across boroughs. It looked like taking the Metro North to Stamford, Connecticut with my mom just to buy a Powerball ticket, which for the record, we did not win. It looked like summers filled with day trips, 3 times a week, exploring New York City's cultural landmarks, walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, riding the trolley at the Bronx Zoo, taking the ferry to Ellis Island, climbing the Statue of Liberty, standing at the top of the Empire State Building. By the time I was 8 years old, I had done most of the touristy things in New York City. But what I did not realize then was I was learning how to see the world. That curiosity followed me into college, where travel became tied to purpose, learning, and service. For the first time, I was traveling beyond New York City through conferences, medical school visits, and summer pre-med pathway programs designed to increase diversity in the medical field. These programs gave me the chance to live in a different Northeast city each summer, and I made the most of it. New Haven, Pittsburgh, Boston. I experienced my first Amtrak ride, my first Greyhound, the Megabus, RIP, and each place taught me something different. Pittsburgh surprised me the most. It felt like a blend of Northeast and Midwest. The accents definitely caught me off guard, but I also felt seen. I saw Black people living, working, building community. Boston was different, though. I went in with assumptions, and at times they were validated. There were moments I felt like I stood out. But then I realized we exist there too. In the neighborhoods like Dorchester and Roxbury, space is often overlooked if you only stay near universities or downtown. I actually did not get on a plane or have a passport until I was 22 years old. And then everything shifted. In 2012, I flew for the first time to Indianapolis for a conference, and I did it solo. That same year, I also took my first international trip to Costa Rica. I did not even have a passport when we started planning it, but we had free lodging with a local, and I thought, why not? And that trip changed everything. We traveled by bus across the country. We tried to exchange money in broken Spanish, ate at local restaurants. It was my first experience with what I now call authentic travel. The kind you cannot fully plan for, but the kind that teaches you in real time. And that's when the travel bug really hit. I started using conferences as a way to see more of the United States. Before I knew it, I had been to over 20 states, places I never imagined visiting, like Colorado Springs or Columbia, South Carolina. And this is when the idea hit me. What if I could visit all 50 states? But here is what I did not fully understand at the time. Education gave me access to travel, but travel was also educating me. The two were always in conversation with each other, even before I had language for it. As I traveled more, I started to notice something. I could visit a place, enjoy it, take pictures, check things off a list, and still leave without truly understanding it, without knowing the Black communities that shaped it, without hearing the stories that were not on the plaques, without stepping into spaces that hold culture, memory, and meaning. And that just did not sit right with me. Because if there's one thing my work in education has taught me, it is this: access matters, representation matters, and the stories we tell and do not tell shape everything. And so as we approach America's 250th, I find myself thinking more deeply about that. Which stories are consistently told? Which ones remain untold or half told? Because if we are not intentional, we will continue to celebrate a version of this country that does not fully include us, even if we have always been a part of it. So I started traveling differently. One of the earliest examples of that shift was a trip to North Carolina in 2016. I was visiting a friend in residency, and we explored cities like Durham and Raleigh and Greensboro. I still remember having some of the best fried chicken and waffles I ever tasted. Crispy, juicy, and just seasoned right. We also visited a Black History Museum during MLK weekend, surrounded by performances and community energy. And in Greensboro, I experienced a simulation of the historic sit-in where 4 Black college students refused to leave a whites-only lunch counter. I did not realize it then, but I was starting to travel differently. I started asking, who are the people here? What stories are being told and which ones are missing? Where are the Black owned spaces, the hidden histories? And more importantly, who is already doing this work and how can I learn from them? And that is when the shift became clear. I moved from simply visiting places and sharing tips to traveling with intention, what I now call conscious Black travel. And that is where the journey really began, not just as a traveler, but as a storyteller, as someone committed to helping us move beyond surface level travel and into something deeper, more intentional, more connected. Recently, I actually visited the Louis Armstrong House Museum in Corona, Queens, and it reminded me why this work matters so much. Louis Armstrong did not just live history, he archived it. He recorded over 400 audio tapes documenting his life. He created scrapbooks known as junk journaling today, where he designed album covers and developed systems to label and organize his story. And his wife, Lucille Armstrong, ensured their home was preserved, which is why it now exists as a museum. Standing there, I felt so many parallels to the work I am doing now. Not just traveling, but documenting, preserving, creating that record. And that got me thinking. When we talk about travel, we often default to documenting the same places: Atlanta, Miami, New York. But what about Vermont, Seattle, Maine? Places where we assume we do not exist. Places where we wonder if we will feel seen or even welcomed. And my audience has made this clear through blog comments, messages, and emails, especially about places in New England. I kept hearing the same questions. Can I go there? Will I feel comfortable? Will I be welcomed? Because the desire to explore is there, but so is the hesitation. So I want to be clear. Black history is everywhere. Black culture is everywhere. Black impact is everywhere. But it is not always centered. It is not always visible and is not always told in a way that reflects its full depth and complexity. And that is why I created the Support Black Period Framework and Green Book with a T at the end as a response to that demand, as a resource, and as a way to ease some of that hesitation. And even then, I kept thinking, there is nothing like firsthand accounts. And that is when something just clicked. I can talk about traveling while Black, but what would it look like to archive the voices of people who live it every day in these cities? Not just visiting these places, but listening, documenting, and preserving the day-to-day experience. And that is what Unlock Black Journeys is about. This podcast is about exploring places through a different lens. It is about uncovering untold stories, centering local voices, and highlighting the people already doing this work through the tours, storytelling, businesses, events, community. And it does not stop here. This podcast is part of a larger ecosystem: the blog, social platforms, the itineraries, the book. Together, we are creating the living archive. And I do not take that lightly because across my feed, I see so many Black creators, historians, and storytellers doing powerful work. And I find myself thinking, if I do not capture these stories, if we do not capture them, then who will? This is bigger than content. This is about documentation. This is about legacy. And the way I travel reflects that. My form of travel, it's immersive, it is experiential, but it's also intellectual, community centered, and ultimately, it's Black. So why now? Because I'm in a season of building and rebuilding, of trusting myself in new ways, of stepping fully into who I am, not just as an educator, but as a storyteller. I'm on a journey to visit all 50 states and beyond. And I do not want to just pass through these places. I want to understand them. I want to feel them. I want to document them in a way that honors the fullness of our experiences. And I want to bring you along with me. So here is my invitation to you. Travel differently with me. Ask deeper questions. Look beyond the surface. Support the stories and the people that make a place what it is. Because ultimately, every destination is a Black destination. Not because it is always visible, but because we have always been there. Because there is so much more to discover when we choose to look. So thank you for being here. Thank you for starting this journey with me. This is Unlock Black Journeys. And this is your invitation to unlock the Black stories behind the places you visit. If you enjoyed this episode, show some love. Like, comment, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Unlock Black Journeys, the podcast. Want even more? Make sure you head to frannythetraveler.com. That's where you'll find more episodes, Black-owned travel guides, and personal reflections of traveling while Black you won't find anywhere else. And don't forget to check out my book, Support Black Period. It's your go-to guide to discovering Black-owned businesses across all 50 states.